Weird Al Yankovic.
Yep.
Now,
What's your?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, what's your background with the parodistic one?
Funny enough, I am very rooted in '80s Weird Al. Even though I know he's been going strong ever since.
Yeah.
In fact, even had a cameo on Batman: The Brave and the Bold when they did their Scooby-Doo when they did the Scooby-Doo episode. They did old school Scooby-Doo episode like from the Filmation '70s, and then you have to have a special guest in a Scooby-Doo episode,
right?
And they had Weird Al as the special guest.
That's funny.
Funny, yeah. So and it was his voice as well too, so that was neat.
That's
cool. Yeah, it's Weird Al. I remember being a kid in the '80s. And he was on every so often. I think he popped on MTV once. He had like a show, and like maybe it was like a fit parody show, like a weekly Weird Al. Maybe they only made one episode, but like he was answering questions from fans, and he got a package, and he got this big ball of wax, and in the letter it says, "Hey, Weird Al, me and my friends collected all of our earwax and put it into a big ball." He goes up.
It's interesting. I heard about that. I never actually saw it. It kind of harkens back to, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but a radio program that he used to do, and some of the humor and gags he used to do there.
Really, they should put that in a collection, even if it's only like on iTunes or something. But I remember though. My first I'm trying to remember where I first saw Weird Al. It might have been on a special, which was the Complete Al, which was on Showtime, which was like kind of a fake mockumentary about his whole life.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny because now they're doing a fake.
Because now they've done another one. Yeah,
now it's a movie adaptation, and of course I know that it's meant to be mocking.
Right.
You know,
the whole biopic concept.
The whole biopic of stars, like we had the Elvis one this past year, so they always have these come out. So I'm sure that's why they cast Daniel Radcliffe, because Al could have probably just played himself, but that's not how you do these things. You have to have another actor play.
Right.
You know? So, but yeah, the Complete Al, and it was neat because they would show the music videos in it, but they would also do, they would also have like they had an interview with his parents about Al. I don't know why we paid for him to go to college just so he could write these stupid songs. And it's like, where do we go wrong? And like they're all ashamed of their son, and it's like,
yeah.
But let me see here though. I think though my first exposure to Al might have been on his album Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, which we had on a audio cassette in our house.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a really cool cover with him kind of coming out of the TV. And I remember I had probably when I first got myself a tape deck or a Walkman or knockoff Walkman. I don't think I could afford an actual Walkman back then. But I remember listening to this on a road trip once and thinking that these songs were pretty cool. And of course, these are parody songs.
Yes.
And I do remember though that there was some. I remember some of the key songs on here. One was "Nature Trail to Hell," which actually I think was a riff on all of the slasher movies that were popular at the time.
Sure.
You know, so it wasn't really a riff on a particular song, I think. I think it was an original song, but there was other stuff on the album. But
yeah, that 3D was actually his second album.
Okay, so yeah. So you may know more history about the first album.
Well, you know how I am. I dig into history. I like to get it right. So just as there are, parody biopics of him, I'm going to do my best to get the history right. And so we got to go back to 1966 when a 7-year-old Alfred Matthew Yankovic's mother bought him an accordion from a door-to-door salesman. I kid you not. Yes. In 3 years, he was playing top 20 hits and writing parodies of them. At 13, Al discovered Dr. Demento. He wrote a funny little song called Belvedere Cruisin', and he sent the demo to Demento in early 1975. Now, I had never heard this song before I started doing my research. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a link for you all so you guys can check out that first song that he did. Thereafter, he sent in songs on a regular basis to Demento. Al graduated high school at 16 as valedictorian and enrolled in Cal Poly for architecture at the urging of his parents, who didn't see music as a fiscally responsible career plan. Shy and enigmatic, he earned the name Weird Al from his friends in college. He started playing the accordion at coffee shops, setting the periodic table to a polka. In 1977, he became a DJ for Cal Poly's radio KCPR. I'm assuming that's Cal Poly Radio. 9 to midnight every Saturday night. It was the most popular show on the station, and it was during this time that he recorded My Bologna, a parody of the Knack's My Sharona. He sent a copy of the song to Doug Fiegler of the Knack, who liked it so much he encouraged Capitol Records to sign Al. But since My Bologna only sold about 10,000 copies, they dropped him after 6 months.
Oh.
Yeah. It's one of those if they'd only known, right? After running afoul of new management at KCPR, he quit. He started visiting Dr. Demento regularly, and while he was there, he wrote Another One Rides the Bus, parodying Queen's Another One Bites the Dust. The studio was flooded with requests to interview Al. Tom Snyder's Tomorrow TV show featured Al as he performed Another One Rides the Bus live. In 1982, Al opened for Missing Persons. It did not go well. He was booed and they threw bottles. But he played the whole set just out of spite.
Huh.
And as far as I can tell, all this is true. Al recorded I Love Rocky Road, a parody of Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll, after asking the songwriter Jake Hooker for permission. Jake managed Rick Derringer of the McCoys' Hang On Sloopy fame and said he might want to work with Al, but Rick encouraged Al to record a full album. The result was the 1983 self-titled album, including all the aforementioned songs, some original songs, plus a parody of Stop Dragging My Car Around, a parody of Stevie Nicks and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song Stop Dragging My Heart Around, and a parody of Mickey by Tony Basil called Ricky.
And this was my we were kind of doing the thing where I pick a couple of videos, Troy picks a couple of videos, and I remember Ricky. This was actually shown on that fake mockumentary, and I loved this music video. I mean, it's not just it's not just a parody of Mickey, but it's also a love letter to Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
Yeah,
this is definitely a love letter to I Love Lucy. And it's funny because you have a Weird Al in the role of Ricky Ricardo in this, and
clean shaven.
Clean shaven. No, he looked good. His hair was all slicked back. He looked suave. I have to give him points. But and I'm telling you, this man is a great physical comedian. I mean, he knows how to make himself look the parts. But he was dueling with voice actress Tress MacNeille, I believe that was her name in the thing.
Okay.
And she's great on the video too. And there's all these little things like he's complaining about, Fred eating all the pretzels and spilling his beer, and he's tired of having Fred and Ethel over here, and it's all the complaining like a couple would, but they really love each other at the end, like the little ticks and whatnot. But it's a lot of fun. It really is a love letter to I Love Lucy and a lot of those 50s sitcoms that were classics at the time, because I remember I was watching them as well, and like Nickelodeon and even Disney Channel had some of those. And it was just a great fun video. And it's, Weird Al can't help but put a smile on your face. He's just playing. He's just pure fun. And people who were throwing stuff at him, they just didn't get the joke, or they weren't in the mood.
Exactly.
But the fact that he is so odd and so weird, and
agreed.
I don't know, maybe it's like a Three Stooges thing. Like, some people love the Three Stooges, some people hate them.
Probably
might be that sort of thing. But I am a big fan of the music video, shot in black and white, and you can catch it on YouTube.
Right,
all of his videos are on
YouTube. I dropped the link.
And it was according to Wikipedia, it was Yankovic's. The music video was created for the song, and this was Yankovic's first music video.
There you go.
To the liner notes in the compilation DVD Weird Al Yankovic: The Ultimate Collection, it was arguably the first comedy video ever shown on MTV. Isn't that interesting?
There you go.
So
well, he definitely set the genre. Let's be honest about it.
Definitely.
But you know, the album was passed by all major record labels until Ted. Wait a minute, am I on the right one? Yeah, we just talked about Ricky. Ted Dowd of Rock and Roll Records signed him. Ricky wasn't a hit, but the album did well enough to merit a second in 3D, which included King of Suede, a parody of the Police's King of Pain, The Rye or the Kaiser, a parody of Survivor's Eye of the Tiger, and a parody of Greg Kinn's band's Our Love's in Jeopardy, which was called I Lost on Jeopardy.
Yes, and this is another music video of his I was very familiar with. This is, of course, Weird Al Yankovic getting to guest star in Jeopardy. No Alex Trebek, oddly enough, but he got the format down to a T about how someone might be stressed on the TV show Jeopardy. Like he's going up against a plumber and an architect, and he goes about the song and about how, you know, it's the Daily Double now, and like his head's starting to spin, and he's freaking out. And what's cool about it is like the chorus in the video, it's all like the workers in the studio, like the behind the scenes guys, and they're all doing the ooh and the ahs and stuff. I remember the announcer calls him a complete loser, says you don't even get a copy of our home game. You didn't win the complete supply of rice Cerrone, a San Francisco treat, and it's brilliant. And it's oh, actually the video featured a cameo appearance by the original Jeopardy host Art Fleming, so that must have been before
before Alex Trebek, yeah.
And,
yeah, people forget how far back that goes, and then the Rice Roni reference is a bit dated too.
Apparently Dr. Demento also made a cameo in that video.
Well, he should have. He was instrumental in Al's early career. Yeah.
And there is a cameo by Greg Kinn at the end. The announcer's name was Don Pardo.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So brilliant little video. A lot of.
But the biggest hit of all was a parody of Michael Jackson's "Beat It" called "Eat It." While Al was under no legal obligation to obtain permission to parody songs, he faithfully did, and he didn't expect Michael Jackson to agree. He was the biggest pop star of all time, arguably. But Michael Jackson loved the idea and enthusiastically agreed, even allowing Al to use the sets from the video. Al even hired many of the same dancers. Beat It was such a huge hit, it dragged Eat It along and launched it to number 12 on the top 100, making Weird Al a celebrity overnight. By the time Weird Al released his third album, Dare to Be Stupid, in 1985, not only was he successful and famous, he knew the formula: do parodies of chart toppers. But it wasn't just the parodies that were beloved. The album's namesake song, Dare to Be Stupid, was not a parody of any specific song, but more of a pastiche of the general style of the band Devo.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was deciding on my music videos a couple weeks ago, I'm like, what are my three? What are my three going to be? And of course, I remember we had the record Dare to Be Stupid. We had the vinyl of it. I wish I still had that vinyl.
Nice.
But, what was neat about it, though, it was a cool vinyl record, and I remember listening to that faithfully like I did the prior album, Weird Al Yankovic in 3D. And I remember listening to Dare to Be Stupid, and even as a kid, you know, you never know, did I hear the Weird Al parody first, or did I hear the original song first? Because sometimes you weren't sure when you were little.
Right.
But Dare to Be Stupid I didn't recognize, and I just assumed that was original song. But, of course, I got exposure to Devo later on. And then when I was rewatching his video, I'm like, this is a Devo song. This has all the, as you said, the tropes of a Devo song.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Devo ever had any comments on Dare to Be Stupid, but it really was done the sound. Part of me almost wondered if Weird Al had employed members of Devo to do cameos in the video. I don't know if they did, but it's a wonderful song where he's taking all of these catchphrases, I guess, and colloquialisms like be sure to count your chickens before they hatch, or
Right.
look a gift horse in the mouth. And then it's just some stupid things like eat a bunch of sushi and don't leave a tip. it's, it's just a bunch of random stuff about being stupid. And in fact, I think Dare to Be Stupid is Weird Al's moniker, Dare to Be Stupid. But the music video, you have to watch this music video. It does have Weird Al sounding like, and this band sounding a lot like Devo, wearing the outfits. And I think it's as a song Devo might have even wrote. I could imagine them writing this themselves. Because
if you get real granular with it and go through it line by line, and even watch the video very closely, there's lots of references to different Devo songs. Yeah.
And because Devo, of course, has a good sense of humor too. But
right, yeah,
I really do love that video. There's a lot going on, a lot of weirdness. You have the weird guys crushing the toilet paper in their hands. You have the cowboy. You have, I think, Romans playing either chess or maybe it was checkers, and then there's a dinosaur in the background because that's stupid. Why would there be a dinosaur around Romans? That's because it's dumb. That's why we're going to have that in the music video, the entire music video. I think they do the upside down face where the chin is talking and their eyes drawn on top of the chin. Talking. It's like, I kept thinking, I haven't watched the Orville, but I always thought Seth MacFarlane should do that. Have an alien race that looks like the chin mouth, talking, but it's an actual alien race that looks just like that. I could see that.
Yeah.
Lot very fun video. I do remember having that album, and it's funny. I have gotten the I did get the Weird Al collection, like a greatest hits 4-disc set, but I don't know. Someday I might track down those individual albums too, because even though the 4-disc set is pretty comprehensive, it doesn't have everything on there, and I may just want to get those 2 albums just because I do remember those growing up. But a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was definitely my favorite album, and the songs I'm going to be talking about are from this album too. So in 1985, another up-and-coming artist was becoming a household name in her own right. Madonna had a number of chart toppers before taking the #1 spot with Like a Virgin. The song got a lot of attention even before being released because of her provocative performance of it on the first MTV Music Video Awards in September of 1984. It was sex-charged and a defining moment of the 80s, and it turned Madonna into an icon. So it seems like the perfect target for Weird Al, but it wasn't even on his radar. That is until Madonna herself said to a friend of hers one day, "Hey, I wonder when Weird Al will do a parody of Like a Virgin, calling it Like a Surgeon." Well, that friend happened to know Al's manager, Jay Levy, who passed it on to Al, and he liked the idea. Like a Surgeon, also on the Dare to Be Stupid album, was released in 1986 as a single, and I just realized I never hit enter to share the link with everyone so they can check it out.
Okay.
Another great song off of this album, and I won't wait, I'll go ahead and hit enter. Off the Dare to Be Stupid album was Yoda, a parody of Lola by the Kinks. Now, like you were saying, which did you hear first? I encountered this parody before ever hearing the song Lola. So it was a bit of culture shock when I finally heard the Kinks song on a classic rock station telling the story of a gender dysphoria in a world where girls will be boys and boys will be girls, long before trans rights and pronouns were at the front of and center of culture wars. But just like with so many of Weird Al's parodies, you don't have to be familiar with the original song to find it funny and entertaining. Yoda does a great job of summing up Luke's Empire Strikes Back story while foreshadowing the forthcoming of Jake Skywalker, as the Luke in the song bemoans, "I'll be playing this role till I'm old and gray. The long-term contract I had to sign says I'll be making these movies till the end of time with my Yoda."
Oh, that's a little scary, actually.
Yes. And that video that I just dropped of Yoda, of all of them, it's not an official Weird Al video. This one is a fan-made one, which stitches together images and footage from Empire Strikes Back with And that's why I did the Jake Skywalker taking back the hood. You know, I'll be playing this road till I'm old and gray. Yeah.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah. So definitely check it out if you. And I'll be honest with you, if you're younger and these songs that are being parodied you don't recognize. See, Zootopia knows the Rye or the Kaiser. If you don't know the song that's being parodied, that's fine. You'll still probably enjoy the song, but then maybe go and seek out the original song, you know, on YouTube, and hear some good '80s hits, you know.
Yeah, and it's neat because it will give you. Oddly enough, he probably was exposing people to music. Even if you didn't hear the original song, because then you might seek out the original song or at least hear it, and then the tune clicks, and they're like, "Oh, but that's what Weird Al parodied," and then you listen to the original. Yeah. And I give a lot of kudos to a lot of the artists that gave permission to use their works, that they had a good sense of humor about it, and yeah.
There's a lot of stories that I left off, but he always sought out permission from the artist, right? Yeah. Whether it was the writer of the song or the performer that, you know, popularized it. He did get there were a lot of circumstances where the record labels or the managers would say no. And it oftentimes caused problems as he would try to pull it from the album. There was one, and I can't remember which band it was. He had all the rights to do it, or, you know, all the go-ahead. They were ready to do it. They had it in the liner notes and stuff. And the very last minute, the manager contacted and said, "No, we don't want to do this." And he said, "Okay," and he pulled it out, but it still was. They were still thanked on the record. Well, years later, the band members were like, "That. We didn't even know about that. We're really disappointed that didn't happen." And in a lot of cases, what he'll do is he'll go ahead and release those songs for free on the internet, because his thought is, you know, I don't care what some suits say. You know, I had the permission of the artist, and if they're okay with it, you know, I'm going with it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad those songs got released. That would be an interesting album, like the Lost Hits of Weird Al, if he ever did that.
Interestingly, someone who didn't want him doing parodies of him was Prince, and Prince was one who was real big on releasing songs that, for whatever reason, couldn't be released because of, you know, bureaucratic crap from the record labels. So that's where the Black Album comes from.
Right. I'm surprised Prince didn't. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know what the story is.
Well, there's a lot of great stories about, for example, we were, and I'm sure in the future we'll talk about like Fat and, you know, other things that he did. He was really close with Michael Jackson really loved, but there was one song that Michael Jackson said he didn't want him to do, and that was to parody was Black or White, and. Okay. And it was just Michael's conviction that it was a message song for him, and he didn't want it watered down by parody. And he was like, "Okay, that's cool. I totally get that." Same thing with he had asked Paul McCartney if he could do a parody of a Wings song, a parody of the song "Live and Let Die," and Paul McCartney said no, only because the parody was going to be chicken pot pie, and he's a vegan, and he didn't want a song about, you know, his song being parodied into something about eating animal flesh. So he's like, and he made suggestions. Well, you could do this with it or that with it. He goes, no. He goes, I you know, it wouldn't work the same. I'd rather not do it. Ironically, Weird Al was a vegetarian too, so
oh,
go figure.
Yeah. Hey, you know, that's interesting.
So obviously, this is another one of those good old days that I love doing this. I love doing this research and putting this kind of stuff together. So thanks.
I'm going to try to clip this one just so we have it.
Yeah.
But no, this was fun. Maybe someday we'll do '90s Weird Al, like we are next step. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I figure. We'll progress on from you know, go to his fourth and fifth album. Yeah, go from there.